Hello and welcome to a special edition of Liberty Nation Swamponomics videocast. I am Andrew Moran, Ellen's economics correspondent. This week, is the Great Resignation a part of the anti-work movement? Job openings are near an all-time high of 11 million. The number of Americans submitting their letters of resignation topped 4 million in October, and the labor force participation rate is at a 42-year low. But after nearly 2 years of free money from the federal and state governments, have the American people gotten accustomed to something for nothing? Liberty Nation recently wrote about a new trend among young people popping up in the post-pandemic economy, the anti-work movement. So, is this a permanent fixture of the post-COVID economy or a temporary problem that will prolong the greater worker shortage? To help us understand what this is, please welcome a special guest, Liberty Nation correspondent Keelan Ferris. Welcome to the program, Keelan.
Thanks, Andrew.
So Keelan, you write about the anti-work movement among Generation Z. Can you describe what this exactly means? Are these a bunch of lazy bums who were spoiled by all the free pandemic era money handed out from the last couple of years, or is there something more happening?
A little bit of both. So absolutely. So the best way to really encapsulate it is to first talk about this subreddit that has just exploded since COVID. And it's an anti-work subreddit, has nearly 1 million subscribers, and it's growing each day. And the population has a variety of people in it. It consists of current workers who want to quit their job, people who have already quit their jobs and are encouraging others to. So those that support the movement are a part of it, really believe in this essentially radical philosophy that is based on socialist ideals. So these people are really fed up with the systematic issues of capitalism or their work environment or conditions. And the movement has really grown during COVID, and it's developing upon this great resignation, as you said. Millions of people are quitting their jobs or switching to a preferred, more flexible lifestyle, working for themselves, whatever that may be for each person, or in social media, or just working not at all.
So you note that you note in the article that Generation Z is demanding better working conditions, but some of these demands are not really reasonable, such as not tolerating being forced to work or not coming to work at all. So, but the present economy is definitely tilted in favor of workers, with many employers going as far as paying people for interviews and giving them even sign-on bonuses. So are some of these Gen Zers just using these unreasonable demands as an excuse of not working?
I really think so. So as I included in my article, there's two sides of this coin of better working conditions. And on one end, you have the healthcare system, where we see a high level of burnout among nurses, for example, and the typical method of employment being turned on its head, with nearly every hospital position being offered temporary relocation or a much higher wage. The demand for conditions and pay is extremely validated here, with what nurses have to deal with on a daily basis and after being through such rigorous schooling. Now, on the other side of the coin is people from Gen Z, mostly not willing to work a job that may not pay the best or have the greatest hours or flexibility, such as retail or the service industry. Everyone at some point in their career is going to deal with a boss that they don't really like, that's a jerk or rude, but you put your head down and you just kind of deal with it. But many of these Gen Zers want control over their hours. They want days off when they want days off. And there's a whole range of people in this movement, which main goals are to abolish work or move to a universal based income.
It reminds me of that line in Annie Hall when Woody Allen says to the camera, "If life were only like that." So you report an interesting statistic. According to one study you cite, only 3% of Gen Zers are interested in working in the construction industry due to its physical demands. So this is a sector that's already reeling from labor shortages, which has accelerated price inflation in commercial and residential property. So my question is, what type of work are Gen Zers expecting to get? Do they want C-suite level jobs right out of college? What are they looking for?
Some of them might, but they probably wouldn't like the hours that it requires. They want a better work-life balance, essentially. They don't want to work 12 hours or more a day. They don't want to take work home with them. They want to do something they're passionate about that provides them with flexible hours and substantial pay. There's also the socialist concept of just contributing to your community that a lot of people are passionate about, and contributing in any way you can that, would of course involve universal based income. there is not an attraction to physical labor, as we see with the construction industry, which isn't actually even 100% labor-based. There's also the issue of education and the need for a higher level of education for higher paying jobs that people are fed up with. So it's, they want to pick and choose this, that, and the other thing.
So throughout your terrific article on libertynation.com, you make a couple of notable points. One thing that stood out the most to me is when you wrote, quote, quitting your job as a desired life goal is a concerning one for the future of this country. So you already alluded to partly of this, but do you think this is one of the reasons why there's a lot of support among young people for things like universal basic income, free tuition, and all the goodies in this something for nothing mindset?
Absolutely. We've seen a growing desire for socialist institutions in our government, or some even go as far as supporting a socialist state. And the growth of this movement really signals that the future of this country should be a concern. There's an argument that this concept is the new American dream, and I really couldn't disagree more. I do agree with the fact that there is unfairnesses in the workplace and there's legitimate burnout, and some requests for higher pay or conditions should be taken very seriously, not just in the healthcare industry, but elsewhere. But regarding the impact of this movement principles on the future of this country is frankly a growth of socialism, Marxist ideology, and that's all, what the AntiWork members recognize and embrace. And I just don't agree with socialism or Marxist ideology being in our country's government.
Well, unfortunately, you're one of the few Generation Zers who holds that opinion, according to many of the studies. So it appears like the Great Resignation, or the anti-work movement falls under the Great Resignation umbrella. It looks like employers can only do one of two things to attract the new generation of talent: either jack up wages or automate their operations and welcome the new Terminators. So I'd like to thank Liberty Nation Keelan Ferris for coming on to the program. You can read her superb reporting, other great articles, and you can read my full Swamponomics column on libertynation.com. Thank you.
Who are we? We are Americans that believe in liberty. We are a project of the nonprofit One Generation Away. We are patriots who apply the founding principles to the issues of today.
And they keep moving the goalposts on us.
We are educators and commentators who love America and the Constitution. Who are we? We are Liberty Nation.